Okay, I think we'll make a start. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Power BI webinar. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. I'm Warren Butler, Director of Marketing here at Services, and over the next half an hour, we'll be exploring how Power BI can help you drive a data-driven culture by translating business data into actionable insights. Our goal today is to show you examples of how Power BI can help you save time and provide insights for confident decisions. If you're new to Power BI or if you're familiar with its charts and dashboards, we hope this presentation is going to give you some helpful ideas and inspiration for what can be achieved to modernise your reporting. I'm delighted to be joined by Simon from Hopton Analytics. Hopton is a specialist business intelligence consultancy working with a range of solutions, including Power BI. Simon's team has already helped several of our clients enhance their reportings, so it's great to have him with us today to share his insights and to demonstrate examples of how Power BI can be deployed. So to get started, let me hand you over to Simon. Over to you.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let me tell you a little bit about how I plan to work this session. I appreciate we've got 30 minutes and that's valuable time to you. So hopefully I'll show you enough to whet your appetite. The plan is very much just to give you an idea of what's possible. As part of that, towards the end, we'll talk about how we can help, but more importantly, what we can do to prove that we can help with you, and we'll cover that off at the end. Hopefully I am sharing my screen. So just to start, a little bit about me, and then we'll get onto the thing that you're here for, which is not me, it's what we're going to talk about. I've worked as a BA with SAP over in Greece. That's where I started, which I was lucky for. Then SAP in Dublin, then Click, if any of you know the product Click or ClickView. I worked with them in Wales. I'm actually in Leeds, so eventually I'm getting closer to home. Then I worked in Sheffield for a BC partner, and then finally we started Hopton a few years ago. A little bit about us. We're a consultancy around analytics and have been for a few years now. And we're based in Leeds and London, which is where the consultants are based, really. It's not part of any plan for world domination. It's just where the guys are. And we partner with Power BI and Pyramid in the UK and Ireland. In terms of this demo, everything you're going to see is made up. But we've hopefully you'll appreciate it. We tried to do it in a way which guides you into some of the things that you might experience. Importantly, not all of this is going to be relevant to you. We recognise that, but we just want to give you an indication of what is possible. And the way we're going to do that is look at key areas of an organisation. It's actually going to be these areas here. So warehousing, projects, marketing, business development, finance, sales, and management at the end. And we're going to look at them as if we were the person who works in that team. Importantly as well, some of these aren't, as I mentioned, aren't going to be relevant, but that doesn't mean they're not worth paying attention to, because I come back to my previous life as ops director of a consultancy firm, professional services firm. We use Power BI and actually use snippets of what you're about to see today. So you'll see a mixture. So we're going to start in the warehouse. As if you have a warehouse, that's where things begin. And again, made up, that guy could be called Bob, we'll never know. He's our warehouse manager, things that he has to deal with day in, day out. Often has a full warehouse and needs to put stock in the right place. He's reactive rather than proactive to changes or challenges or requests. Pick rates are low and he's got dead stock that he needs to deal with. And what we want to do is we want to increase his efficiency, make his space in his warehouse more efficient, said that one already, and reduce quality issues. So let's jump in to how we do that in Power BI. So actually, we're going to use This is Power BI. If you've not seen it before, this is what it can look like. If you have seen it before, I'll put money it doesn't look like this. At Hopton, we spend a lot of time making sure it works visually for people and suits them. And we think that that's one way of ensuring people get bought in. If it looks good, if it's easy to use, people are more likely to use it. And so we spend a lot of time on that. So wearing goods in. So the first thing we can see is we've got deliveries by day. So this is good. So if we wanted, we could just say we'll just have those then, and we'll restrict what we can see. First thing we can see is, let's say this is today. Tomorrow we've got 44 shipments coming in, which is a fair bit. And if we look to the day after, we've got half that. So now let's maybe pick on a supplier. And you can see, so those new to Power BI, you select something, all your data can filter. So we've selected one supplier. We can see what their deliveries look like. Tomorrow is 13, the day after it's only 1. So perhaps what we'll do is we'll jump on the phone to this supplier and say, can you not deliver tomorrow, please? Because it's a busy day for us. If you deliver the day after, that'd help us out a lot. And so that's one way that the warehouse manager, Bob, there can use this system to proactively manage what's going to come in. So he can keep on top of it without just being there and taking what he's given. Now, in terms of quality, we can also start to look and see if we've got any quality issues. So we know where our suppliers are. We know that purchase issues account for the most of the items that we've currently got in quarantine. And again, Devify is our biggest supplier with quarantined items. Now, just from the previous page, we can see that they deliver an awful lot. So maybe that's okay. We're happy with that. But we could start to see which items are in quarantine by product group, who supplied those, or maybe we just want to look at one particular supplier even. We can start to filter the data. Now, if you've got this information in your system, then we can also see what's been in there before, especially if that's important, because certain items can only belong in certain parts of the warehouse. We can manage that. Finally, from a warehousing perspective, we also want to see what's in there. So one of the things that we had as a question on the previous page is we want to know what's in our warehouse, and we want to make better decisions around picking. So here's our warehouse now. We can see this. So we'll just drill out a bit. Our picking area is here and here. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at my fast moving stock. I'm going to switch off my slow moving stock. So this is now all my fast moving stock. That's great. But what's not optimized? In other words, what's in the wrong place? So if I've got my picking area here, all these products at the back, they don't need to be there. They should be moved. So one of the things that we're keen on when we talk about Power BI is that this allows you to make decisions. Now, we could, using machine learning or AI, we could automate this to say, here are items that are in the wrong place, that are fast moving, but are in not optimized locations, move them to these. And we could give a new location here to say, move it from this bin to this bin. In our instance, we find that most people actually don't want that. They want to be able to make their own decisions and move it from one to the other if that's what they want. And that's what we give them the ability to do. So there's my list. I can now just go and export this data to Excel, give it back to Bob. Bob can go and proactively sort the warehouse so it moves the right products to the right place. Now, this being 100% transparent, this isn't magic. This is just AI, or before that we used to call it machine learning, and before that we just used to call it maths. All we're really doing is we're saying what hasn't moved recently, what's not come in, what's not gone out, that's slow moving, what comes in a lot, what goes out a lot, that's fast moving. We can enhance that to suit your need. And this is a warehouse, right? But this could easily be a production line, an office, or whatever it is that you want to report on. And I would say the other thing that we do is we don't always do the 3D version. The 3D version's great and it looks sexy and it's fantastic for demos, but we can easily do 2D as well. So what did we look to improve? Efficiency. How did we do that? We were able to spot slow-moving stock in the wrong places and move them. We managed the space by grouping slow-moving stock to the back. We are able to reduce quality issues by finding out who are suppliers or product categories of items that go into quarantine and do something about that. So let's move on. So let's talk about Jack, who's our product manager. So he manages a lot of internal projects. He has to share data. He wants visibility of what's underway. Now, the other thing that's really important is these don't have to be ERP systems. These could be a project management tool that you've got. These could be an ATS for recruitment, or a legal system, or a IoT. We work with a manufacturer in the UK and Ireland, and they use Power BI over their Internet of Things devices. So it manages how much product is in a silo, down to how much electricity is being used, down to the vibration levels of a machine. We can do lots of different things. So he wants to collaborate, see projects, and really he wants to be able to see what's on time and what's in full. So let's look at how we might do that. So here is our project management dashboard. Really important, these aren't set off-the-shelf solutions. What we do when we work with our clients is we say, what is it you're looking to achieve? And we then tailor what you're after to the tools that we have available to deliver just what you want. You don't say, oh, I'll have this, and you've got to ignore half of it. It's solution specific to you. So first thing I can see is that we've got these projects underway, and I can see when they're due and how long they're taking. And if I click on it, I can make selections if I want to. I can also see the projects by status or by budget. I can see updates on the projects here. And again, if you're used to Power BI, this is, and I'm sure you'll appreciate, this isn't standard stuff, but these are the things that people want to be able to see. I can see projects, who's managing it, what the budget is, how far along we are, what the deadline, if there are any tasks to be done. Now, if I had enabled an integration with another system, I'd be able to click on it here and go straight to that. So that works really well if your system is web-based. Pass through, in effect, we pass through a URL and we're able to open it. So you don't have to go and say, all right, I'll go and have a look at that in another system, hit the button, and away you go straight to it. How is Jack going to collaborate? Well, first of all, this project dashboard can be seen by anyone in the business that he wants them to see it. So you can give this to the management or the directors or whomever needs to get it. The other thing he can do, and you can do with all of these things, is you can set up subscriptions. So I want a standard subscription, and I'm going to send it to me as a PDF by email. And I'll just do it for one day, and I'm going to set that at 4:15 p.m. Straight away, that's going to go save, done. So we're able to share these by email, direct link, whatever we want. Okay, so I appreciate we only got 15 minutes. I will be quick. So he's able to collaborate. He can see what's going on in one place rather than having to go to loads. He's got everything that he might need. Marketing. So lots of different data from lots of different sources. Wants to see updates and has to manually collate information from websites, from Google Analytics, from wherever. Wants to be able to view this data and save time on report production. How might we help? So again, we're able to, so this is just an example from social media, we're able to collate information from many different sources, be it Google Analytics or Bing or whatever else you might use, and we're able to see this data and show it and display it. So here's the number of views that our blog part of our website is getting. I can see the ones that are most looked at. I can see them here, and if this wasn't demo data, I could click on that and that'd take me straight to that blog or that page or that site. And again, I can start to see information. And the idea of this isn't to take away from what you already do. It's simply to reduce the amount of time you spend doing it in terms of collation of data. And we think that's pretty important. So let's look at inside sales. So often lack of visibility on progress, wants to compare themselves with others. Salespeople tend to, wants to see current sales and refunds. And from a sales perspective, they're keen on a bit of gamification. Now, we're not going to go too far. We know in recruitment, gamification can mean it plays songs and tunes. We're not doing that. You're probably pleased to learn. But what we are able to do is we can log in and see that as a team so far today, we've reached 24 orders, 150 items on them. That's great. If we just maybe switch off cancelled and refunded, we can see how many that drops. And actually, if we start to turn these off one at a time, we'll see this text starts to change. So a start's being made. So we're able to prompt people to say there might need to be a bit of improvement there. We can also see what's going on in terms of top salespeople, see how many they've done. And from here, we might email them or we might do whatever we want. As this is Power BI, it's all clickable. So what is completed or what was cancelled, actually just the one order. And again, I mentioned that drill through, click the button straight through to the system, whichever system it is that you're connected to. Again, these can be sent via email, or the users can simply view them. They can update regularly, and it'll just take care of itself. They'll view the data, they'll see whatever they want. So what if you're looking at it at a slightly different level? You want to see actually one step up and see sales overall, understand sales of products and profitability, and start to check this by category or product or country. Sure, let's look at that. So here is a sales dashboard, perhaps for a sales manager. So I can see sales today. This is demo data. I got some of the maths wrong, which is -5 million profit. So forgive me for that. So we can see sales today, sales for the last 7 days, but we can also see that revenue and profit on a chart over time. Because I mentioned this is Power BI, it's all clickable. I could say, okay, well, revenue in Australia is going up. I can see that by the little arrow, and I can click that and I can see what that's made up of. So that over time we can see, so July wasn't great, but we're getting better there now, and I can see what products, technology, furniture and office supplies. I can start to see that somehow fax machines in colour are our top product. That might explain the lack of profitability overall. But again, I can click on that and I can see what it was of that product category, what were the sales and when, and we start to see the information. Again, what we're trying to do here isn't give you everything. It's not bombard you. It's just show you what is achievable. And we'll see some more of that actually when we look at credit control. So one of the things we've looked at so far has been visual, very visual tools, which is great because that might be needed. But nowhere in this instance, they want to avoid spreadsheets and manual reports for reporting. And this is relevant to me anyway. Back in the day, as my kids would say, we had a credit control team who'd spend about a day a week collating information and numbers to then bring them to myself and my colleague, the MD. And in an hour, we'd go, well, what about that? And what about that? And what about that? And they'd have to disappear and find answers to our questions. We changed that. We implemented Power BI, which in fairness is where my love of Power BI came from. And from there, we were able to always have visibility, ask the questions we needed before we had a half-hour meeting, and really start to just focus on the things that are important. So let's show how we would use Power BI for that. Now, first thing to say is it's a very different view. We appreciate that if you're in finance, you don't often care particularly for pretty pictures. You actually want to see the numbers because the numbers are the most important thing. But straight away, I can see my total debt and that broken down into buckets. These are my buckets in this example. And I can see all my clients here and their split there. So I might be interested to know what that 46 grand is there. Click on it and everything filters. So I know the customer. Now I can say, well, show me the detail. So we've gone from high level. We now selected one particular customer. We can see there are 3 open invoices, and actually it's just one that's of concern. The other 2 are very small amounts. Late payment frequency, they don't really, but on average they take 36 days to pay, not the 30 that are their terms. Now, one of the cool things that we do there is, if you want, we can not focus on debtors from a perspective of official terms. They are due in 30 days, but we can add a toggle to say, well, show me when they're likely to pay, because it's all well and good saying these clients need to pay on 30 days or else, but from a cash perspective, when are they going to pay? Because that's an important number. So we can do that. So we're able to, from that, see the number, drill in. We can ask more questions of it if we want. We can see the number of open invoices. We can see how much is overdue, and we can see specifically when. Now, depending on the nature of your organization, you might actually want to see your debt geographically. So I was focusing on 46,000 there for Absher, but actually if I look here, this one client here owes 136. So maybe that's the one I need to focus on, because they've only got one open invoice. So they're the ones that I might want to chase first. If I do that, I've had a good day rather than chasing 12 invoices at £300 each. Again, sorry. So what can we do for finance or for credit control? We can provide more visibility. We can have automated reporting and sharing, just like I described. And we've got that drill down. Show me what those invoices are. Actually show me what was on those invoices. And again, if your system allows it from a finance system, open up that entry in your ERP straight through to it. So finally, Millie here is a director who wants to see finance performance. Currently, that she sees them once a month. Forecasting and planning is very manual. Questions are easy to ask but hard to answer. I'm sure some of you relate to that. And what she's looking for is better operational efficiency, improved decision making, and revenue growth. So for Millie, what we're going to do is we partner with a provider called AimPlan, who add tools to Power BI like this. So now we're looking at a cash forecast, but it could equally be a P&L. So we don't just have to see, Power BI isn't just about pie charts and pretty dashboards. We can use it for financial reporting and planning and budgeting. So what do I mean when I say budgeting? If I go back to my cost forecast, one of the things we're able to do is, if I look here, I can see last year's costs were 19 million. This year, someone's thinking we're only going to do 8.3. No, we're not. I reckon it's 12. Now, For those who have used Power BI before, you've just seen me update a cell in Power BI, which isn't standard. This is definitely not standard stuff. But now we can start to use it for planning and forecasting. And actually, maybe I'm not just going to rely on that. I'm going to say, use last year's costs. Oh, that's 19 million. Or maybe use AI, ML to predict what the costs are going to be, 25. And actually, I tell you, when I think about it, we'll stick at 25, but I know March is going to be really expensive. So we'll put that at 4. So it's now 27. So you can start to use Power BI not just for your standard visual aids, but also for planning and for forecasting. You can have multiple companies in here. You could have multiple scenarios. You could have individual accessing their own cost center or part of the system just so they see what they want. And it doesn't just have to be finance planning. We can also start to use it for planning hours. So if I take the Amazon project, I think in January, by the end, we'll do 40 hours, 120 in Feb, 90 in March. And you can see we can start to plan these out. And these numbers, when saved, go straight back in. We don't put them into the ERP system because that'd be a terrible idea, but we do put them somewhere there for you to, into another system for you to report on, which is the cool thing. So super quick, because I know I'm running out of time, and thank you for listening to me for this long. How can we help with Power BI, and where do we think it can help? So for sure, you've seen how we can improve efficiency in the warehouse, in marketing because we're automating those reports, in finance because we're not relying on manual collation, sales management because it's always visible immediately, and management because we're looking at financial reports as often as we want live from the system. We're collaborating, arguably every one of these is there, but we're looking at business development. We're sharing that, we're putting that on a TV, a screen in the office, projects because we're automating reports, marketing the same, finance management. Visibility, again, this really should be everywhere, but the warehouse manager could see exactly what was going on everywhere. So could the project manager. The individual salespeople could see what was going on for them as it happened. They didn't have to ask or wait. Sales management could also see. Finance could tell if they'd had a good day on debt collection, and management overall could see what was going on in the business real time. And decision making, management's an obvious one. Sales management too. Have we got the right people in the right roles? Are we selling the right products? Are we pricing them properly? And so on. Warehousing as well. So we've covered quite a bit there actually. So what's next? Warren, do you want me to carry on?
Yes, please.
Yep. So one of the things that we're really keen on isn't just to say, trust us, it's all grand, it's brilliant. One of the things we want to do, both for us and for you, is if you're keen, if there's value in this, if you can recognize where Power BI can help, we'll do a free proof of value. Now, that isn't us come along and say, look, it's brilliant. That's us working with you, NDA signed, everything that you'd expect. And we'll spend roughly half a day free of charge, no cost to you whatsoever, and we'll build a live working dashboard or report that adds value to your business. We want you to take something away that shows what's possible. Now, from that, we don't just do it because we're really nice people. We hope from that you're like, yeah, I can see this is going to help us. Let's expand it. But that's the big takeaway for us. And yeah, we can do more work in terms of what's possible, and also discuss if we've worked in specific areas for you. And if that's something that you're keen on, then, please do. Warren can explain how we can pull that together. Just let us know in the chat, actually. And we'll engage with you, and we'll get that sorted. Now, is there any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Simon, for that super presentation. Really good to see some examples of just how creative those Power BI dashboards can be, and very different from the kind of visuals that we normally see when we think about Power BI.
Yeah.
Certainly, thank you firstly for sort of attending today. If you would like to take Simon up on that generous offer for the proof of value consultancy, either just respond in the chat now or reply to the emails that you've received about this event, and we will follow up and book in that session with Simon and his team. But we're going to hold on just for any other Power BI questions that you've got. Again, please just use the chat to ask those while we've got Simon. I'll kick off with ones just while we're waiting, Simon, that we get asked quite a bit, which is around, other than Dynamics, which is a product that services work with sort of day in, day out, what other data sources do you generally connect with in Power BI?
So it'd be simplistic to say everything, but that's probably not entirely true. But we're able to do an awful lot. So a lot of organizations would come to us with systems which are API driven. And you've got to be a developer then to be able to do that. The good news is we have those people in our team, and they would extract whatever data we needed. So I mentioned earlier IoT devices for sure. We do other ERP systems, dare I say it. And one of the things that we use Power BI for is to integrate old and new. My old system before going live with Dynamics, let's say, is Sage. I want to maintain history. How can I have one Power BI report that has all my finances or all my sales so that I can see trends that don't just start with my new dynamic system, so we integrate with multiple ones. So long-winded way of saying pretty much most systems. Sorry.
Excellent. We've got a question come through from Graham. Hi, Graham. And it is sort of, if we work with you, would you provide ongoing supports and training for any issues and upgrades that we wanted? I imagine that's specific to Power BI.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. So from a support perspective, what we look to do is we're not a big bang and we're done, see you later. So we provide the initial report or reports. We do that once we've built something, we release it so that you can then start to make use of it. As soon as it's in use, that's when it's tweaked. It'd be great if it also included and could we and can we, and we build that into any proposal as well, so that you know up front that in our experience there's likely to be additional requirements come along the line, and we don't just say, oh, that's a surprise, that's more money. We make sure you know about that up front. Training, absolutely, and we do that in two forms. So one is train the users how to use these reports and dashboards, as you've seen, but also, if you wish, train people within your organization on how to build these. So one of the other things, Graham, that we've done and do is we work with clients who've already had a dabble in Power BI, and maybe they've not seen it as successful as it could have been. Trying to be polite. One of the ways that we can do that isn't just say, get off, leave us be, but actually let us upskill some of the people in your team or organization who've built them themselves as well, so they can really start to see how to do this, just so you've got some control internally. Yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully that's answered your question, Graham. Yeah, if you are interested in just exploring that further, please do get in touch and we can arrange that. Simon, another question which sort of follows on from what you were just talking about there, and I appreciate it's a tricky one to answer, but how long is the typical Power BI project?
A lot less than ERP. It depends upon the requirements and the size. So These aren't made up numbers. These are real. We worked with a client who was moving to a new ERP system. They wanted to keep exchequer data. Their exchequer provider was offering a fantastic offer of £60,000 over 5 years to keep a copy of their old data. We built them a Power BI report which had all their previous data in, from which they could report on and use in 7 days. That said, equally, it can go up to your average is probably 20, and some clients we do quite a little bit more, but we scope them out at the beginning so you know what you're in for right from the start. We're not great fans of change request after change request in terms of our delivery.
Excellent, thank you. Another question that we get asked quite a lot is around Power BI licensing and the uncertainties to, does everybody need a Power BI license that has access to these dashboards?
They do. It's one of Microsoft's hidden tricks. So you can download Microsoft for free, Power BI for free, but that's the desktop client, and that's not what we want here. So you need a license. They're about $8.60, a couple of coffees, or a pint of beer. So it's about $8.60 a month per user. You need them. Let's say you were implementing Power BI. You don't need to buy all 100 licenses if that's how many people you've got up front. You can just purchase as you go. But the cheaper one is $8.60 a month. It's like I say, a couple of coffees.
Excellent, thank you. Questions come through from Joel. Hi Joel, thanks for your question. Asking if we were to work together, instead of the proposed proof of value consultancy, would you be able to look at help or input with one that had already been created?
Yeah, sure. I don't see why not. I think, it's a neat idea, actually. Let's show you, based upon what you've already done, what's possible. Yeah, sounds good.
Excellent. If you want to follow up on that, Joel, please do get in touch and we'll put you in contact with Simon. Okay, I think those are all the questions that have come through. Thank you again for your time this afternoon. If you do have any more questions, just contact us separately and we will endeavour to help. Thank you, everybody, and hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.